When was the last time you actually looked at the change jingling in your pocket? If your answer is never or only when the vending machine spits it out, then you're about to miss out on a potential gold mine. Because one tiny, ordinary-looking coin, a 1969 D Lincoln penny, could be worth $1.90 million. Yes, I said million, with an M. Let's dive into why your loose change might just pay for your dream car, house, and maybe even a yacht, if you're into that sort of thing. Okay, so what's the deal with this penny? Is it made of gold? Did Abraham Lincoln bless it himself? Not quite. It's actually all about that little D mint mark under the date. That D stands for Denver, where the coin was minted. But not just any 1969 D penny will make you a millionaire. No, no, no. It's all about the double die error. Now, don't let the term double die scare you. It's not some horror movie coin situation. It just means that when the coin was being struck, the die used to press the design onto it shifted slightly. The result? Some parts of the text and numbers, like "In God We Trust" or 1969, look doubled. It's like the penny has a shadow, but without the need for good lighting. Now, here's where things get wild. These errors weren't supposed to happen, and only a handful made it out into circulation before someone went, "Oh no, we messed up." Because of how rare this error is, collectors are basically throwing money at anyone lucky enough to have one. How much money, you ask? Well, a 1969 D double die penny sold for $1.90 million at an auction. Let me repeat that for the people in the back. One penny, $1.9 million. Let that sink in. Let me tell you a quick story. A few months ago, I was cleaning out my old junk drawer. You know, the one where you throw all your random stuff like spare keys, tape, and of course, loose change. I found a pile of pennies and, being the curious nerd that I am, decided to look at them closely. I didn't find the 1969 D double die, but I did find one from 1943 made of steel instead of copper, which is still pretty cool. Moral of the story: never underestimate your spare change. It's like treasure hunting, but without the need for a pirate map. Now you're probably wondering, how do I know if I have the magic $1 million penny? First, grab a magnifying glass or use your phone's camera with zoom, because who actually owns a magnifying glass these days? Look closely at the text on the coin. If the words look like they're doubled, you might be sitting on a fortune. And don't worry, if you're unsure, plenty of coin dealers or online forums can help you verify. The condition of the coin matters, too. If it looks like it's been through a garbage disposal, its value might drop significantly. So, if you find one, handle it carefully. No tossing it in your car cup holder with the gum wrappers, okay? Alright, so now you know why your pocket change deserves a second glance. Who knows? You could be the next millionaire all thanks to a humble penny. Imagine telling your friends, "Yeah, I cashed out on a coin I found in my couch cushions." Ultimate bragging rights. Before you go digging through your change jar, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button and tap the bell icon. I've got plenty more tips on coins worth money and strategies to spot hidden treasures. Trust me, you don't want to miss out. Who knows? The next video could help you uncover another $1 million find. Now go check your pennies. You might just be a millionaire in the making. Hey there, coin collectors and curious minds alike. You're sifting through a jar of old pennies you found in the back of your drawer. You spot a 1967 penny. Nothing special, right? It's just a penny, after all. But what if I told you that this same penny, a 1967 Abraham Lincoln penny, could be worth $1.80 million? You'd probably double-check, maybe even recheck the year, and then pull out your magnifying glass, right? Well, trust me, this isn't some crazy, "I found a treasure and became a millionaire overnight" story. There's a real reason this penny is raking in big bucks, and today, I'm here to tell you why. So stick around, because you won't believe how a tiny mistake turned this 1967 penny into a rare gem worth more than most cars and some houses. Alright, let's get into it. The 1967 Lincoln penny, as you might already know, is part of a series of coins minted by the United States. But this isn't just any regular penny. Most pennies from 1967 were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and you'd expect to see that little mint mark on the back, right? But here's the kicker. Some of them were made without a mint mark. And it's this tiny detail that could make you a pretty penny, no pun intended. You see, mint marks are typically placed on coins to indicate where they were made: Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. But in 1967, there was a bit of a hiccup in the minting process. Some pennies rolled off the press in Philadelphia without that mint mark. This was a mistake, a little error in the production process that resulted in some rare and very valuable coins. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, that's interesting, but does that really make it worth a fortune? Well, here's where it gets juicy. Due to the rarity of the error and the fact that very few of these no mint mark 1967 pennies exist, collectors are willing to pay big money for them. In fact, if you have one of these in your hands today, you could be looking at a potential value of $1.80 million. You might be wondering, why so much for just a penny? Well, let me tell you, collectors don't just buy coins for the metal they're made from. They're buying history, rarity, and sometimes even a mistake that turned out to be worth more than anyone ever imagined. That 1967 penny, with its missing mint mark, is like the coin equivalent of a unicorn. It's just that rare and unique. And rare is always valuable. Now, before you rush off to dig through your coin jar, not every 1967 penny without a mint mark is worth a fortune. You've got to have the right condition. Coins with no mint marks that are in pristine, uncirculated condition are the ones that fetch the big bucks. So, if your penny looks like it's been through a few rounds of backyard football, you might want to lower your expectations. But if it's in near mint condition, with sharp details and no visible wear, congratulations. You're holding onto a rare piece of American coin history. Now, this whole situation reminds me of a time when I found an old coin in my grandpa's collection. It was just sitting there in a dusty old box, among a pile of random nickels and dimes. At first, I thought it was just a regular old coin, nothing special, but something told me to do a little research. Turns out, it was a rare 1950s dime, and it could be worth hundreds of dollars. I couldn't believe it. I was holding on to a small fortune all along, and I almost tossed it out without a second thought. Don't just ignore those old coins you've got stashed away. You never know what hidden treasure you might have. It could be worth more than your lunch. The 1967 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny is definitely one of those worth more than meets the eye types of coins. It's a reminder that sometimes the smallest details can make a huge difference in value. So, the next time you're digging through a pile of pennies, be sure to keep an eye out for those rare gems. Who knows, you might just stumble upon a $1.8 million penny. And hey, if you want more tips on how to find coins worth money, coin collecting strategies, and all things rare and valuable, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on these kinds of tips. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Keep on hunting, keep on collecting, and I'll see you in the next video. Hey there, coin collectors and curious folks alike. What if I told you that you could stumble across a coin that's worth a cool $1 million? No, this isn't a fantasy or a wishful thinking tale from a treasure hunter's dream. I'm talking about the 2015 D Mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Sounds crazy, right? But stick around, because I'm about to share some jaw-dropping details that might just make you look at that pile of spare change in a whole new light. You're casually walking down the street, or maybe you're raiding the couch cushions for loose change. Come on, we all do it. You grab a handful of pennies, and bam! There it is, the 2015 D Mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. To the untrained eye, it looks like just another run-of-the-mill penny, right? But wait, before you toss it back in the jar, let's dive into why this little coin is so special. First, let's talk about what makes the 2015 D Mint mark penny stand out from the rest. It's all about that D Mint mark, which means it was minted in Denver. That's right, this penny comes from the Denver Mint, and it's a part of the Lincoln Cent series that's been around since 1909. The coin itself is made of copper-plated zinc and weighs in at just 2.5 grams, so it doesn't exactly scream, "I'm worth a fortune." But trust me, it has a secret superpower. Now, here's where it gets wild. The 2015 D Mint mark penny is worth $1 million. Yes, you heard that right, $1 million. It might sound like a stretch, like something out of a reality TV show, but the truth is, this penny could be worth that much if it's in perfect condition, thanks to a crazy error that was made during the minting process. Here's the kicker. Some 2015D pennies were minted with an extremely rare double die obverse error. This means that the design was stamped multiple times, creating a noticeable doubling effect on the letters and numbers. If you're lucky enough to find one of these rare, doubled pennies, then congratulations, because you've got yourself a serious collector's item. But I get it. You're probably thinking, yeah, but how would I even know if I have one of these million-dollar pennies? Well, you'd need to examine the coin closely. Look for that doubling in the letters of Liberty and In God We Trust. If you spot it, don't just toss it back in your pocket. You might want to get that penny appraised by a professional. A little effort could lead to a huge payday. Now, I know some of you are thinking, okay, so maybe there are some million-dollar pennies out there, but what are the chances I'll find one? Well, that's the million-dollar question, pun intended. The reality is, these pennies are incredibly rare. Some reports claim only a handful have been found, so your odds of stumbling upon one are like finding a needle in a haystack. But hey, someone has to be the lucky one, right? And speaking of luck, I've had a little experience with this myself. A while back, I was going through some change from a local bank, just looking for some quarters to toss in my laundry jar. And there it was, a 2017 penny with a slight error. Nothing crazy, but it made me think of this million-dollar penny story. I took the coin to a local dealer, and while it didn't turn out to be worth thousands or millions, I was still amazed to learn that even small errors could increase the value of coins by hundreds of dollars. So don't just overlook your spare change. You never know what might be lurking in that coin jar. Keep an eye out for those rare 2015D mint mark Abraham Lincoln pennies with the double die error. If you're lucky enough to find one, you could be holding on to a small fortune. And if you're like me, a simple trip to the bank or a casual coin roll search might just change your life. Now, before you go digging through your pockets, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you want more tips on coins worth money, strategies for finding hidden treasures, and even more wild stories like this one, you're in the right place. Don't miss out on the next time I drop some knowledge that could turn your loose change into cold, hard cash. Yeah, you heard that right, a penny. Not just any penny, though. The 1973 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln Penny. And get this little guy could be worth $1 million. I know, it sounds like something from a treasure hunting movie, but stay with me because by the end of this video, you'll be looking at every penny in your pocket like it's the next big thing. Alright, let's dive in. So, you're probably thinking, how in the world could a 1973 penny be worth millions? That's a fair question, and trust me, I thought the same thing when I first stumbled upon this. You see, most 1973 pennies aren't worth much, just the face value of 1 cent. But there's a rare variation that can make you a pretty penny, pun intended. If you've got a 1973 penny with the D mint mark, that's the little D you see under Abraham Lincoln's chin, and it's got certain specific features, it could be worth way more than its face value. But we're not just talking about any old mint error. We're talking about rare, pristine condition pennies that are classified as error coins. One of the main reasons this penny could be worth so much is the minting error that occurred with some of them. Some pennies were struck with double dies, meaning 2 impressions of the die were made on the coin at the same time. This gives the coin a sort of blurry or doubled effect on the details, like Abraham Lincoln's chin or the lettering. If you've got one of these, especially in mint condition, you're looking at a serious payday now. I know what you're thinking. But wait, how can I tell if my 1973D penny is one of those million-dollar gems? Great question. First off, if you've got a coin that looks a little off, like the lettering or Lincoln's face seems to be doubled or misaligned, you've got something worth checking out. And if you're really trying to get fancy, you can even check for those RPM, repunched mint marks. Some 1973D pennies have a mint mark that was punched multiple times, making it a cool little quirk that adds to its value. But here's the real kicker. If you take that rare coin to a professional coin grader and they give it a high rating, you're in for some serious cash. We're talking thousands of dollars. And in rare cases, if your coin is in absolutely mint condition, you could be looking at that $1 million mark. Alright, let me share a little personal story here. A few years ago, I was cleaning out my grandma's old coin jar. You know, the one that's been sitting in the back of the cupboard forever. My grandma had all kinds of old coins in there. Some were worth nothing, and some, well, turned out to be a gold mine. I found an old penny, 1973D, sitting right there with the rest of the change. I almost tossed it into the jar of loose change, but something stopped me. I looked closely and bam, there was that double die effect on the lettering. I did a quick online search, and long story short, I ended up getting it graded by a professional. The result? That humble penny was worth over $2,000. Now, it wasn't the $1 million variety, but it was a nice surprise. So trust me, those pennies you're overlooking right now might be worth way more than you think. Alright, folks, that's the lowdown on the 1973 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny. If you've got one of these in your coin collection, or maybe even tucked away in your jar of change, don't just let it sit there. Take a closer look, and who knows? You might just be sitting on a goldmine.so. If you want more tips on how to spot rare coins and maybe turn those pocket change finds into a small fortune, hit that subscribe button right now. You don't want to miss out on more coin collecting hacks, stories, and tips that could change your financial game. Trust me, I'm living proof that there's treasure hiding in your pockets, and you don't have to be a coin expert to find it. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and I'll see you in the next one. Keep collecting, keep searching, and keep finding those treasures. Have you ever wondered if your spare change is worth more than just a couple of cents? Well, if you've got a 2020 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny lying around, brace yourself, because that tiny copper disc could be worth a lot more than you think. Now, don't go dumping your entire piggy bank out just yet, because not every 2020 penny is going to make you a millionaire. But there's one special version out there that could have your name on it. So, if you're ready to discover why your penny jar might hold some serious treasure, stick around. You won't want to miss this. Alright, let's dive into it. If you're a fan of Abraham Lincoln, or even if you're just in it for the shiny stuff, chances are you've got a few 2020 pennies with the D Mint mark. But here's the thing. Not all 2020 D Lincoln pennies are created equal. In fact, there's one particular version that's turning heads and making collectors lose their minds and their wallets. The 2020 D Mint Mark Lincoln penny. Most of the pennies you see circulating today were minted at the Denver Mint, hence the D Mint mark on the coin. But what makes this penny so special? Well, it's not the design. Abraham Lincoln's familiar face has been on the penny since 1909, and the reverse shows the iconic penny shield. Nope, it's the condition and rarity that's making this 2020 penny a hot commodity. There's a very rare variety of the 2020 D Lincoln penny that was struck with an error during production. And if you happen to have one of these, congratulations. You might be sitting on a small fortune. Let me tell you, when I first heard about this coin's potential value, I couldn't believe it. I mean, it's just a penny, right? The most I've ever gotten for one was, well, a penny. But after some digging, I found out that certain 2020 D pennies in mint condition, and I'm talking perfect condition, are fetching upwards of $1 million in some cases. How do you know if you've got one of these $1 million pennies? It's all about the grade. If your 2020 D penny is in uncirculated or proof condition, meaning it's never been used for everyday transactions and is in flawless shape, it could be worth way more than face value. And if it has a rare error, like a double die or an off-center strike, that could send its value skyrocketing. Now, you might be thinking, but I've got a whole jar full of 2020 D pennies. How do I tell if any of them are special? Great question, and trust me, you're not alone in wondering. This is where things get fun and a little crazy. The coins that have made it big are the ones with some serious imperfections, like a double stamp on Lincoln's face or an off-center design. But finding one of these in your change might feel like finding a needle in a haystack. It's rare, but it does happen. And let me just say, if you find one, you're going to want to treat that penny like it's made of gold. Keep it safe, get it professionally graded, and don't spend it on a soda or gum. I'm looking at you. Folks who use pennies for vending machines. Here's a little personal story to show you how crazy the coin world can get. A few years ago, I found a penny in my couch cushions. Yeah, one of those, I'm too lazy to bend down and pick it up, pennies. I thought, it's just a penny. But something about it caught my eye. Maybe it was the shiny surface, or maybe I was just feeling lucky that day. So, I took it to a local coin shop, and to my surprise, it turned out to be a rare error coin. Long story short, I didn't become a millionaire from that penny. It wasn't worth as much as I thought, but it was definitely worth more than I expected. And that, my friends, is why I'm all about checking the small stuff. It could be your lucky day. So, what's the takeaway here? If you've got a 2020 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny, take a moment to inspect it. Look for errors and make sure it's in great condition. If it's a rare variety, you could be holding onto a coin worth way more than its face value. That I know. It sounds a little too good to be true. But trust me, people have found pennies worth thousands and even millions of dollars, and you might be next. Keep your eyes peeled, and who knows? Your spare change might just make you a fortune. Before you go searching through your pennies, though, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for more coin tips and strategies. Who knows what treasures we'll uncover next? I've got more coin secrets to share, and you won't want to miss them. We're talking about the 2013 Abraham Lincoln Penny, without a mint mark. Sounds simple, right? But hold on to your seats because this little penny could actually be worth millions. Yes, millions now. Don't start digging through the couch cushions just yet. I'll explain everything in a minute. But first, let's dive into why this coin is the hidden gem that could make your wallet a whole lot heavier. All right, let's break it down. The 2013 Abraham Lincoln Penny. Pretty standard, right? It has the Lincoln Memorial on the back, a nice clean portrait of old Abe on the front, and that familiar "In God We Trust" on the side. Nothing too special, or so it seems. But here's the catch. Most pennies from 2013 had a mint mark. They were either made in Philadelphia or Denver. So, you'd think that all 2013 pennies are the same. Well, they're not. Enter the 2013 penny with no mint mark. That's right, a 2013 penny produced without any mint mark. It's like the unicorn of the coin world. So, what's the big deal? The truth is, these coins are incredibly rare, and finding one in your pocket change could be like striking gold. But why? Well, it's all because of a production error. In 2013, the US Mint was working on some changes and transitions in how it produced coins. One of those changes was related to the minting process. A handful of these 2013 pennies were mistakenly struck without a mint mark. This made them extremely rare because, typically, every penny should have a mint mark indicating where it was made, either in Philadelphia or Denver. When these mintless pennies slipped through the cracks, they became a collector's dream. Now, you're probably thinking, all right, cool, so it's rare. But does that mean it's worth anything? And the short answer is yes, but the long answer is even juicier. As it turns out, these 2013 pennies without a mint mark have been known to sell for thousands of dollars. In fact, some rare, high-grade versions of the coin have gone for more than $1 million. Yes, a single penny that you could have gotten as your change at the corner store could be worth more than your car, your house, or your student loans. Hey, that's a win, right? Now, let me tell you a quick story to put this into perspective. A couple of years ago, I was going through some old change I'd accumulated over time. You know, the pennies, nickels, and dimes you just toss in a jar and forget about. I was cleaning out my drawers, and I came across a few older pennies. I thought, hey, maybe these are worth a bit more than face value. So, I Googled them, and shocker, they weren't worth much. But then I found this one penny, the 2013 Lincoln, with no mint mark. I almost tossed it aside thinking, who cares? It's just another penny. But then something made me take a second look. I did a quick search and found that this exact coin had the potential to be worth thousands. Can you imagine how my heart skipped a beat? I didn't find $1 million penny, but the point is coins that seem ordinary could actually be worth a lot more than you think. And the crazy thing is, people are out there searching high and low for pennies just like this one, so where does that leave you? Well, keep your eyes peeled. Don't toss those pennies without looking them over first. While the 2013 Lincoln penny without a mint mark is the rare one you'll want to find, there are other coins that are worth checking out too. It's all about doing a little research and taking a second look at your pocket change. To wrap it up, folks, don't underestimate the power of a penny, especially the 2013 Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark. That little coin could be your ticket to a small fortune, and the best part is, you might already have one lying around in your collection of random changed. So, next time you reach for a penny, take a moment to inspect it. It might just be the most valuable coin you've ever held in your hand. And hey, if you found this info helpful, or even just interesting, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give us a like. I've got plenty more tips coming your way about coins, their values, and strategies to help you find hidden treasures. You never know what you might discover in your change jar. All right, folks, before you toss that penny in your jar or into the vending machine, hold on to your wallets, because today we're talking about a coin that could have you swimming in cash, specifically, a 1977 Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark. Yep, you heard me right. That seemingly ordinary penny sitting in your change jar could be worth millions. Stick with me, and I'll explain how it went from pocket change to pocket full of change, if you know what I mean. Let's rewind for a second. 1977. The disco era was in full swing. People were rocking bell-bottoms, and the Star Wars movie had just hit theaters. Meanwhile, the US Mint was cranking out pennies like they were going out of style. But here's the twist. Some of those pennies, well, they didn't have the mint mark you'd expect to find. Now, most pennies, they're stamped with a D for Denver or S for San Francisco, right? But 1977? There's a rare anomaly that made the world of coin collectors do a double take. Some of those 1977 pennies came out of the Philadelphia Mint without a mint mark. But wait, you're probably wondering, why is that such a big deal? It's just a mistake, right? Well, let me tell you. It's exactly because it was a mistake that this coin became so highly coveted. You see, mint marks are there for a reason. They tell us where the coin was made. So, when collectors saw a 1977 penny with no mint mark, they started scratching their heads and asking, is this an error? Or is it something rarer than a unicorn eating a cheeseburger? Coin collectors are like treasure hunters, always searching for those rare finds that can turn a small investment into something huge. The lack of a mint mark made these pennies stand out, and let's be honest, in the world of coin collecting, standing out is what makes you famous. So, fast forward to today. This little penny that might have once been stuck in a couch cushion is now worth a lot. Like, we're talking millions of dollars if it's in the right condition. And when I say right condition, I mean it's gotta be in mint condition. You don't want a penny that's all scratched up or corroded. No one wants that. But if you happen to find one that's in great shape, well, congratulations, my friend, you've just struck gold. Or, should I say, struck copper. Now, don't go diving into your coin collection just yet, because these pennies are so rare that finding one is like stumbling across a hidden treasure chest. Out of the millions of pennies made that year, only a small fraction are missing that mint mark. In fact, some experts believe there are only a handful of these error coins in existence. So, if you're sitting on one, you could be looking at a serious payday. Okay, now let me share a little personal story. A couple of years ago, I was going through a box of old coins I inherited from my grandmother. Nothing fancy, just a bunch of pennies, nickels, and dimes. I was thinking, maybe I can buy myself a coffee or something with these. But then, I came across this old penny. It looked pretty normal, nothing special. But then I remembered something a coin dealer once told me. Look at the year, and always check for a mint mark. So, I took a closer look and sure enough, I saw no mint mark on this penny. My heart stopped for a second. I Googled it, and wouldn't you know it? It wasn't a 1977, but I did end up finding a rare 1960-something penny that was worth a few $100. Not a million, but still, pretty good for a coin I thought was basically worthless. Point is, it pays to check your pennies. You never know when you'll find a treasure. Heck, that little penny I found is now in my safe, and every time I look at it, I think, what else might be hidden in these old jars of change? So, in conclusion, if you happen to have a 1977 penny with no mint mark, don't just toss it in the "I'll deal with it later" pile. Take a closer look, check its condition, and maybe, just maybe, you'll have found yourself a tiny, copper gold mine. These pennies are rare, and you could be holding on to something worth way more than just 1 cent. And hey, if you're into finding hidden gems like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more tips and tricks on coin collecting, because who knows? The next time you check your pocket change, you might just find something that could change your life. Don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed this little treasure hunt, and drop a comment below if you've ever found a rare coin. Trust me, I'd love to hear your stories. We're going to talk about a penny that might just have $1 million secret hiding under its copper surface. That's right. You might be sitting on a tiny gold mine and not even know it. I'm talking about the 1987 penny with no mint mark. Yeah, you heard that right. A 1987 penny with no mint mark could be worth a fortune. $1 million fortune, to be exact. Now, don't go raiding your coin jar just yet. I'm going to break it down for you and explain why this little copper nugget is so valuable. And trust me, this isn't just another one-in-a-million story. This penny could actually make you one in a million. So, let's start with the basics. Pennies, right? We all know the ones that get lost in the couch cushions, the ones you leave as tips when you're feeling generous, or, let's be real, the ones you throw in a jar and forget about. But then, there's the rare gem, like the 1987 penny with no mint mark. You probably know by now that most pennies made in the US have a mint mark on them, typically either in D for Denver or S for San Francisco. But the 1987 penny, it didn't have one. Sounds like a mistake, doesn't it? Well, that's because it was a mistake. But sometimes mistakes are worth more than perfection. In fact, some of these pennies are worth hundreds of thousands, and in very rare cases, even $1 million. Here's where it gets interesting. In 1987, the U.S. Mint started striking pennies without mint marks in some cases, due to an issue at the Philadelphia Mint. But the real kicker is that this mistake wasn't discovered until decades later. The reason it's so valuable now is that it was never supposed to happen. The 1987 penny, with no mint mark, is an error coin, and collectors love error coins. In fact, they chase them. When you're looking at error coins, you're looking at a rare opportunity to own a piece of history that wasn't meant to exist. Now, hold your horses before you run off to check your penny jar. Not every 1987 penny without a mint mark is worth a small fortune. To hit the jackpot, the condition of the coin really matters. We're talking about uncirculated, pristine condition. If your penny has been through the ringer, rolled down the street with the wind, or been used as a spinner at the local diner, then, well, it's not exactly going to be fetching those $1 million bids. But still, an error like this can make a significant difference in the value of the coin. Some of the ones that are in perfect condition have gone for as much as $100,000, and when you're dealing with high-end auction houses or private buyers who know what they're looking for, that number can skyrocket. I'll tell you a little story here, just to show you how easy it is to miss out on something like this. One day, my uncle was going through a box of change. You know the type, leftover coins from road trips, forgotten in the bottom of an old purse, stuffed into a drawer somewhere. He tossed a 1987 penny in front of me and said, "Hey, check this out, it's just a penny, but I thought I'd keep it since it's from '87. He didn't realize it was a no-mint mark penny, just another coin he tossed in his collection. Meanwhile, I'm staring at it like it's a treasure chest, all while trying not to make it too obvious that I wanted it for myself. Long story short, that penny ended up sitting in the back of his drawer for years, and well, you can guess where it is now. Who knows? That could have been a small fortune. All right, so let's recap this wild ride of a penny. A 1987 penny with no mint mark could be worth hundreds of thousands, or even millions, if it's in the right condition. If you've got one, go ahead and check it out closely, and if it's in mint condition, you could be holding on to a coin that's a collector's dream. But hey, even if your 1987 penny isn't worth $1 million, don't sweat it. There are tons of other coins out there that could be hiding a small fortune. If you're serious about learning more and turning your loose change into a serious cash stash, then make sure to hit that subscribe button right now. I'll be back with more tips, tricks, and coin strategies that'll make your collection worth its weight in gold, or at least a whole lot more than a few cents. Hey there, treasure hunters. Have you ever dug through your spare change and thought, man, what if one of these pennies is my golden ticket to a fortune? Well, today we're diving deep into a tiny piece of copper that could be worth a whopping $1 million, the 1991 Abraham Lincoln penny. Yep, 1 cent that could make you a millionaire. So grab a cup of coffee, empty that coin jar, and stick around because we're about to talk about what makes this humble penny so extraordinary and why you might want to start checking your pocket change a little more carefully now. Let's get into it. The 1991 D penny, minted in Denver, hence the D, isn't just your average coin. Most of these are worth, well, a penny, give or take. But there's a special unicorn out there, rare variant that collectors are absolutely losing their minds over. And the kicker? This penny looks almost exactly like any other 1991 D Lincoln cent. So why the big bucks? It's all about the errors, my friends. Some of these pennies were struck with mistakes. Maybe a double die, a rare minting defect, or even an ultra-sharp strike on a unique planchet. Think of it like the coin world's version of a misprinted baseball card or a rare Beanie Baby. Minting errors turn regular coins into treasures because they're like happy little accidents in history. Speaking of history, let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, I was rummaging through an old drawer at my grandmother's house. You know, one of those drawers that's a magical mix of paper clips, buttons, and mysterious keys to who knows where. I came across this dusty little jar of coins. Naturally, I thought, what if there's a rare one in here? Spoiler alert. I didn't find the $1 million penny, but I did find a 1943 steel penny, which was still pretty cool. That little discovery fueled my obsession with hunting for valuable coins. So, back to the 1991 D penny. How do you know if you've got the jackpot? First, you'll want to look closely at the coin. Does it have any oddities? A double stamp? A weird metallic sheen? If you're not sure, grab a magnifying glass and really inspect it, or take it to a professional coin grader. If it turns out to be the real deal, you're looking at a payday that could buy you a house, a car, or at least a ridiculous number of tacos. Now, the $1 million question. Pun intended. Why is it worth so much? It's simple: rarity and demand. Collectors are always on the lookout for coins that tell a unique story. A rare 1991 D penny is like a piece of art. Its value skyrockets because there just aren't that many around. Plus, the buzz around this particular coin has driven its market value into the stratosphere. All right, friends, it's time to wrap things up. Here's the deal. The 1991 D Abraham Lincoln penny might just be hiding in your couch cushions, car cup holder, or that random jar of coins you've been meaning to cash in. So, what are you waiting for? Start digging. And if you find one, let me know. I'll take 10% as my finder's fee. Just kidding. Sort of. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell. I've got plenty more tips, tricks, and stories to help you turn pocket change into big money. Whether you're a coin collector, a curious newbie, or just someone who loves a good treasure hunt, this channel's got you covered. Thanks for watching, and happy hunting. We're diving into the story of a humble little penny that's got a bigger value than my student loan debt. Well, almost. We're talking about the legendary 1969 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Yes, a penny that could be worth a jaw-dropping $1.1 million. I know what you're thinking. How in the world can a single cent be worth that much? Stick around, and I'll not only explain why, but also share a little story that might inspire you to start checking your pockets a bit more closely. You're at a gas station, fumbling for exact change, and you hand over a handful of pennies, not giving them a second thought. But what if, in that moment, you just gave away over $1 million? Yeah, that's exactly the kind of nightmare we're trying to avoid today. Now, I'm no millionaire yet, but after learning about this coin, I've become that annoying friend who inspects every penny I get in change. And trust me, after this video, you'll be doing it too. So, what's so special about the 1969 D Lincoln penny? First, let's break it down. The D stands for the Denver Mint, where this coin was struck. It's already rare because of a unique doubling error, which collectors call a double die. This error makes certain parts of the coin, like the date and the words "In God We Trust," look like they've been printed twice. Not every 1969 D penny with doubling is valuable. The real million-dollar babies are certified authentic by professional graders. You can't just squint at a penny and say, "Yep, this looks weird. Must be worth a fortune." You need an expert to confirm it's the real deal. Now, why is it worth so much? Well, coin collectors are a passionate, and let's be honest, kind of eccentric bunch. The combination of rarity, the historical significance of a minting error, and the obsession to own unique coins has driven prices for these pennies through the roof. That $1.1 million price tag? That's what one sold for at an auction. Imagine dropping a single penny at the grocery store and someone else cashes in on it later. I'd cry. Speaking of crying, here's a personal story. A few years ago, I was visiting my grandparents, and my grandpa showed me his old coin collection. I didn't think much of it, just a bunch of old coins in dusty folders. Fast forward to today. I'm reading about the 1969 D penny, and I can't stop thinking, did he have one of these? Spoiler alert, I don't know. And I'll never know because my grandma cleaned up, his collection during spring cleaning. Moral of the story? Always check before tossing something out. All right, back to business. If you're wondering how to find one of these elusive coins, here's the best advice. Check your change, raid your couch cushions, and hit up garage sales. You'd be surprised how often rare coins are sitting in plain sight. And if you find a 1969 penny with a demint mark, don't start screaming millionaire just yet. Get it checked out by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. But hey, even if you don't find $1 million coin, the thrill of the hunt is half the fun. Plus, it's a great excuse to avoid cleaning your house because you're busy inspecting coins. The story of a penny that's worth way more than a penny. It's a reminder to pay attention to the little things in life, literally. Who knew that something so small could make such a huge impact? If you're as hooked on the idea of finding treasure as I am, hit that subscribe button and join our community of coin enthusiasts. I'll be sharing more tips on spotting rare coins, strategies for, hey there, coin enthusiasts. Or maybe you're just curious about pocket change. Imagine this. You're at the grocery store, you hand over some pennies to pay for gum, and one of those pennies is secretly worth $1.2 million. Yes, million with an M. Today, we're talking about one of the most legendary coins out there, the 1998 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln Penny. Spoiler alert, it's worth way more than a penny. Stick around because I'm going to break down what makes this little copper treasure so valuable, share some insider tips on spotting one, and sprinkle in a funny little story about my own almost jackpot moment. First, let's talk about the basics. What's a 1998 no-mint mark penny? Well, the no-mint mark part means the coin was minted in Philadelphia, but Philly coins don't carry a mint mark. Normally, that's nothing special. But the 1998 penny? Oh, it's special. It's like the Beyoncé of pennies. What makes it so valuable is a crazy error that's practically impossible to replicate. Some 1998 pennies were accidentally struck with what collectors call a wide AM reverse. If you're staring at your penny right now thinking, what's an AM reverse? Don't worry. Flip your penny over. Look at the word America. On a normal coin, the letters A and M are close together. On a wide AM error, there's a noticeable gap. Think of it like social distancing for letters, way ahead of its time. Now, here's the kicker. This error was supposed to be on proof coins, which are shiny collector's coins made in San Francisco. But a few of these wide AM reverses somehow ended up on circulation coins in Philly. Oops. That little oopsie is why the 1998 no-mint mark penny with the wide AM reverse is so ridiculously valuable today. Now, let me share my almost lucky moment. A few years ago, I was rummaging through an old jar of coins in my grandma's attic. You know, the kind that smells like mothballs and nostalgia. I found a bunch of 1998 pennies and thought, this is it, my millionaire moment. I flipped them over, grabbed a magnifying glass, and nope, no wide AM. Just a wide sense of disappointment. Moral of the story? Always double-check your coins, but maybe don't count on grandma's jar to retire early. Okay, let's talk money. As of today, the 1998 wide AM penny is valued at a jaw-dropping $1.2 million in pristine condition. Yep, a single penny could buy you a mansion, or at least pay off your student loans. Even if your coin isn't in mint condition, it could still be worth thousands. Not bad for something you could find in your couch cushions. So, how do you find one? Start by checking every 1998 penny you come across. Get a magnifying glass or a cheap coin microscope. They're like $20 online. Look closely at the word America on the back. If you see that gap between the A and the M, don't freak out just yet. You'll want to get it authenticated by a professional coin grading service. And don't worry, they've seen it all. So no judgment if your hands are shaking when you hand them your potential treasure, a tiny, copper-colored ticket to financial freedom. Who knew something so small could be worth so much? If you're like me and you love uncovering hidden treasures in your spare change, make sure to keep an eye out for this legendary coin. Before you head off to raid your piggy bank, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I've got more tips, tricks, and stories about coins worth money, and trust me, you don't want to miss out on the next potential jackpot. Plus, subscribing is free, unlike missing out on $1 million penny. All right, folks, Buckle up because we're diving into the wild world of pocket change that's worth a fortune. You're at a gas station, paying for your coffee with coins you dug out of your car's cup holder. Among them is a humble penny, something you wouldn't even glance at twice. But what if I told you that very penny could be worth over $1.3 million? Yes, you heard me right. Today, we're talking about the 1992 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln Penny, the ultimate jackpot in your loose change. Before you laugh it off, let me tell you this coin isn't just valuable. It's insanely valuable. And in this video, I'm going to break down why, how to spot one, and why you need to start checking every penny you come across from now on. Trust me, after this, you'll never look at your spare change the same way again. So, let's get straight to the million-dollar question. Why is this penny worth $1.3 million? It all comes down to a minting error. Back in 1992, the Denver Mint accidentally produced a small number of pennies with the wrong design. Instead of using the standard close AM reverse design for the word America on the back, they used the wide AM design intended for proof coins. This mistake makes the coin ultra-rare, and collectors are willing to pay big bucks to get their hands on one. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The difference between a regular 1992 penny and this golden, or rather copper, ticket is microscopic, like squinting under a magnifying glass microscopic. The letters A and M in America are spaced slightly apart on the rare version, while they're touching on the regular ones. That's it. A tiny design detail that could literally change your life. And yes, I know what you're thinking. How the heck am I supposed to spot that? Well, it's easier than you think. Grab a magnifying glass or zoom in with your phone camera. If you spot that wide AM, congratulations. You're now holding a penny worth more than a mansion. Let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, I was rummaging through a jar of pennies my grandpa had kept since the 80s. I wasn't even looking for anything valuable, just killing time. Suddenly, I spotted a penny that looked a little off. Long story short, it wasn't a 1992 wide AM, but it turned out to be a 1972 double-die penny worth a few $100. That's when I realized, wait, these coins people ignore every day might actually be little treasure chests. Since then, I've been obsessed with checking my change. Now, let's talk market value. While the most famous 1992 wide AM penny sold for $1.3 million, not everyone will fetch that much. Coins in lesser condition might go for a few thousand or tens of thousands, which, let's be honest, is still a pretty sweet deal for a penny. Collectors are on the hunt for these coins because they're so rare. So demand is through the roof. If you find what you think might be a 1992 wide AM penny, don't just toss it on eBay and hope for the best. Get it authenticated by a professional coin grading service. These folks will certify its authenticity and grade its condition, which can massively increase its value to SO. There you have it, my friends, the story of a tiny coin with $1 million twist. The next time you're digging through your couch cushions, emptying your piggy bank, or even paying for a coffee, take a second look at your pennies. Who knows? That small copper coin could be your ticket to a life-changing payday. If you found this video helpful, hit that thumbs up button and share it with your friends. And hey, don't forget to subscribe for more tips on coins worth serious money, strategies for identifying them, and a few laughs along the way. Remember, every coin tells a story, and some of those stories are worth millions. All right, folks, buckle up because we're about to dive into the world of coin collecting, where small change can lead to big paydays. Have you ever looked at a penny and thought, this little copper dude might be worth more than my car? Well, today, we're talking about one of the most jaw-dropping coins ever, the 1984 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln Penny, valued at a casual $1.4 million. Yep, you heard that right. A penny, worth more than a mansion. Let's find out how this tiny treasure made its way to millionaire status and, spoiler alert, how you might just find one hiding in your couch cushions. Let's start with the basics. The 1984 D penny was minted in Denver, and at first glance, it looks like your run-of-the-mill pocket change. But oh no, this isn't just any penny. This little guy is special because of something called a double die error. If you look closely at the coin, you'll see that some of the details, especially Lincoln's ear and the word Liberty, appear doubled. It's like Lincoln himself couldn't believe how valuable this coin would be one day and had to double-check. Now, Here's where things get interesting. Coins with errors like this are incredibly rare, and rarity equals value. Collectors will pay big bucks for coins that stand out, and the 1984 penny is like the Beyoncé of error coins. Everyone wants it, but not everyone can have it. I actually had my own run-in with a so-called rare penny. True story. I once spent half an hour rummaging through a jar of pennies my grandma kept in her kitchen, convinced I was about to strike it rich. I found a 1943 steel penny and thought I hit the jackpot. Turns out, it was worth, drumroll, about 15 cents. But hey, it was still a profit. Anyway, back to the 1984 penny. The reason this coin is so valuable today is that collectors are always on the hunt for unique pieces to add to their collections. And with only a handful of these error coins known to exist, the demand is sky high. That's why one sold for $1.4 million at auction. Let me just say, if I ever find one of these, I'm framing it and then immediately selling it to buy a yacht. Or at least a really nice used car. But how do you know if you've got one? Well, grab a magnifying glass and start checking your pennies. Look for the D mint mark under the year 1984, then check Lincoln's ear and the lettering for that double design. It might take some squinting, but trust me, it's worth it. Alright, so here's the takeaway. Start checking your pocket change, because you never know what kind of treasure might be hiding in plain sight. The 1984 D Lincoln penny is proof that sometimes the smallest things can hold the biggest value. And if you do happen to find one, let me know. I'll be expecting a shout out in your millionaire acceptance speech. Before you head off to raid your coin jars, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because we've got more coin tips, money-making strategies, and stories about rare finds coming your way. Who knows? The next coin we talk about could be sitting in your wallet right now. Hey there, treasure hunters. Did you know that you could have a small fortune hiding in plain sight? Maybe even in your pocket right now? I'm talking about a 2007 D mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Yes, just one measly cent. That could fetch a jaw-dropping $1.5 million. That's more than some houses. Crazy, right? Stick around because I'm breaking down why this little coin is worth big bucks, how to spot one, and of course, what this means for your penny jar. You don't want to miss this. Okay, let's start with a little backstory. The 2007 D penny is a modern Lincoln Memorial cent, minted in Denver. Usually, these pennies aren't exactly exciting. They're made of zinc with a copper coating, and billions of them were minted. So why the hype? Here's the deal. This particular coin isn't just any 2007 D penny. It's an error coin. Now, error coins are like the celebrities of the coin world. They're rare, unique, and people pay crazy money for them. In this case, the 2007 D Lincoln penny has a very specific kind of error. We're talking about a double die obverse, which means the design on the front of the coin was struck twice, slightly off-center. It creates this funky, almost psychedelic effect where Lincoln's features look blurry or doubled. Point one day, you're at a gas station, fumbling for exact change. You hand over a penny that feels special somehow. You glance down and bam! You notice Lincoln's face looks like he's having a double vision moment. Congratulations, my friend. You might just have struck gold. Or, well, copper zinc alloy. Now, let's talk money. Why is this coin valued at $1.5 million? It's all about rarity and demand. Only a few of these error coins have ever been found, and collectors are willing to pay top dollar to own one. In 2024, one of these pennies was auctioned for $1.5 million because it was in pristine condition and had that perfect doubling error. It's like hitting the jackpot in the coin world. But before you go emptying your piggy bank, let me give you a few tips. First, check the mint mark. It must be a D for Denver, not P for Philadelphia. Second, grab a magnifying glass and inspect Lincoln's face and the lettering on the coin. Look for any doubling effects, especially around Liberty or the date. Third, if you think you've got the real deal, don't clean it. Cleaning a coin can ruin its value faster than spilling coffee on your favorite white shirt. Instead, take it to a professional coin appraiser or send it to a grading service like PCGS or NGC. Let me share a quick story. A few months ago, I decided to go through my old coin jar. You know, the one that's been collecting dust since high school. I found a ton of junk coins, a few state quarters, and even a wheat penny from the 1940s. But no jackpot. Still, it made me think about how many of us overlook the potential treasures sitting right under our noses. And honestly, now every time I get change, I feel like Indiana Jones on a quest for rare pennies. You never know what you'll find. So, what's the moral of the story? Don't underestimate the power of a single penny. That tiny coin in your pocket could change your life, literally. And even if you don't find a $1.5 million penny, you'll definitely develop a sharper eye and maybe even a new hobby. Before you go, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join our community of coin enthusiasts. I've got plenty more tips, tricks, and stories to share about coins worth money and strategies to boost your collection. Who knows? The next video might help you uncover your next big find. You're digging through your old piggy bank or that mysterious jar of pennies sitting on your grandma's kitchen counter and boom, you stumble upon what looks like an ordinary penny. But here's the kicker. That tiny copper coin could be worth a jaw-dropping $1.6 million. That's right, we're talking about the 1968 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a little coin with a big price tag. Curious how a penny becomes worth more than most houses? Stick around. I'll break it all down, share some tips, and even tell you a quick story about my own, almost jackpot moment. Alright, let's get into it. First off, what's the deal with the 1968 no-mint mark penny? To the untrained eye, it looks like any other Lincoln penny. You've got Honest Abe chilling on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the back. But what sets this coin apart is the lack of a mint mark. Normally, pennies from 1968 were minted in Denver, marked with a D, or San Francisco, marked with an S. If your coin has no mark under the date, you might have something special. Now, you're probably thinking, why does a missing mint mark make this penny so valuable? Great question. In 1968, the Philadelphia Mint didn't use mint marks on their pennies. That's normal. But in rare cases, coins intended for other mints were struck without their mint marks due to errors. These minting mishaps are what collectors drool over because they're super rare and, let's be honest, kinda cool. It's like owning a signed copy of a book that wasn't supposed to be signed. So, how do you know if your penny is the real deal? First, grab a magnifying glass or use your phone zoom. Check under the date. No mint mark? Good start. Then, look at the coin's condition. Is it shiny, clean, and crisp, or does it look like it's been through a washing machine 3 times? The better the condition, the higher the value. Collectors use a grading scale, and a pristine MS-68 grade can make all the difference. Now, let's talk money. This little copper gem recently sold at auction for a staggering $1.6 million. Yeah, you heard that right, $1.6 million. That's enough to buy a yacht, a luxury car, or, let's be real, fund a lifetime supply of coffee. But even if yours isn't in mint condition, it could still fetch a few $1,000s, which isn't too shabby for a coin you probably found under your couch cushions. Speaking of finding coins, here's a quick story. A few years back, I was helping my aunt clean out her garage. She handed me a dusty jar filled with old coins and said, "Maybe you can find something interesting." I was skeptical. Most of the pennies were scratched, sticky, or downright gross. But then, I spotted one that looked different. My heart raced. Could it be a rare penny worth millions? Turns out, it was just a regular penny covered in some weird glue that made it look unique. Moral of the story? Don't quit your day job just yet, but definitely keep checking those coins. So, what's the takeaway here? That little penny in your pocket might be more valuable than you think. Check your coins carefully, especially those 1968 no-mint mark Lincoln pennies. Who knows? You could be sitting on a fortune without even realizing it. And hey, if you don't find one, don't worry. There are tons of other valuable coins out there waiting to be discovered. If you found this video helpful, or if you just want to hear more stories about cool coins and how to spot hidden treasures, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on our next video. We're diving into more rare coins, money-making tips, and stories that'll have you sprinting to your coin collection. We're talking about something that's going to make you rethink that little jar of pennies sitting on your kitchen counter. What if I told you there's a plain, boring-looking penny from 1994 with no mint mark that could be worth a jaw-dropping $1.7 million? That's right, $1.7 million for a penny. Yeah, the same kind of penny we've all been guilty of chucking into a vending machine or worse. dropping between the couch cushions? So, what makes this little copper coin so valuable? Let's dive in, and by the end of this video, you'll be raiding your change jar like a pirate hunting for treasure. Alright, let's start with a bit of background. The 1994 penny, featuring good ol' Abraham Lincoln, was minted without a mint mark. Now, for those of you who might be new to coin collecting, the mint mark is that tiny letter, like a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco, that tells you where the coin was made. If there's no mint mark, that usually means it was made in Philadelphia. But here's the twist. Most 1994 no mint mark pennies are nothing special. They're worth, well, a penny. So, why is this penny special? Well, legend has it, and by legend, I mean coin experts, one of these pennies ended up with a flawless double die error. What's a double die error? Imagine the design on the coin getting stamped twice, but slightly off-center. It's like the coin had a second cup of coffee and got a little jittery. These errors are super rare, and coin collectors lose their minds over them. But it doesn't stop there. This specific penny also has an exceptionally sharp strike and nearly perfect condition, making it a collector's holy grail. Now, here's the kicker. The market value for this bad boy has climbed all the way to $1.7 million. That's not just life-changing money. It's generational wealth. You could pay off your house, your kids' college, and still have enough left to buy a lifetime supply of avocado toast. And trust me, I'd be right there beside you, eating that toast while Googling how to retire at 30. I remember when I first got into coin collecting. It started with me going through spare change to teach my kid how to count money. Good ol' parenting, right? One day, I spotted a shiny penny with a weird little scratch on it. My brain went, hey, maybe this is worth something. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. But that tiny moment of excitement, that's what got me hooked. Now, every time I get change at the store, I find myself inspecting coins like Sherlock Holmes. And who knows, maybe one day, I'll strike it rich with a rare find like this 1994 penny. A dreamer can dream, right? But back to the coin. How do you know if you have the $1.7 million jackpot sitting in your pocket? Step 1. Find a 1994 penny with no mint mark. Step 2. Grab a magnifying glass and look for doubling on the lettering or the details on Lincoln's face. If you think you've hit the jackpot, don't just take my word for it. Get that coin verified by a professional grading service. And whatever you do, don't clean it. Seriously, collectors are super picky about untouched coins. So, the next time you're about to dump your change into a Coinstar machine, stop and take a second look. That penny you're holding might just be worth a fortune. And hey, if you do find the $1 million coin, remember who told you about it, alright? If you enjoyed this little dive into coin treasure hunting, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. We're always uncovering stories of hidden gems, rare coins, and tips to turn your pocket change into serious cash. Trust me, you don't want to miss the next video because we're just getting started. Until then, happy hunting, and may your pockets be full of pennies with $1 million potential. Hey there, coin collectors and treasure hunters. Imagine you're going through a jar of old pennies that have been sitting in your drawer for years. You pick one up, give it a little rub, and you think, just another penny, right? But what if I told you that one of those pennies, maybe even the one you have right now, could be worth a small fortune? Sounds too good to be true? Well, grab a seat, because today we're talking about the 2016 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln Penny, a coin that has some serious cash potential. Spoiler alert, it could be worth millions. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you might just be digging through your pocket change like a pro. Let's get into it. So, you've probably seen a penny or two in your lifetime, and unless you've been living under a rock, you've definitely seen one with Abraham Lincoln's face on it. It's practically America's most famous penny, right? But what makes the 2016 D Mint Mark penny so special? First things first, let's talk about the 2016 penny itself. Nothing about the design really screams rare at first glance. It's your typical Lincoln penny with his famous portrait on one side and the shield on the other. But here's the twist, the D Mint mark. That little D is crucial. You see, the 2016 D pennies were minted in Denver, and here's where things get interesting. In 2016, the U.S. Mint accidentally created a few rare errors during production. This resulted in a number of pennies that have unique characteristics that make them valuable to collectors. We're talking about minting errors like double dies and misplaced or smudge mint marks. Now, these errors are where the magic happens. A coin that was once worth just 1 cent could suddenly be worth thousands or even millions, depending on its rarity and condition. Let's put this in perspective. Imagine walking around your neighborhood, flipping through your pocket change, and you find a 2016 D penny that's been in circulation for years. You think it's just another old penny, but guess what? It's actually a rare error coin. In good condition, that penny could be worth $10,000, $50,000, or more. And if it's one of those super rare error pennies in mint condition, the value could skyrocket to $1 million. Yes, you heard that right. A penny that costs a penny could potentially be worth $1 million. Now, I don't know about you, but that's a pretty wild thought. Let me share a quick story. A few years ago, I was cleaning out my grandfather's old coin collection, just expecting to find a bunch of regular coins. And there it was, a shiny, worn 1999 penny with a strange mark on it. I thought, it's probably just damage, right? But something told me to check it out. So, I did a little research and, surprise, it was actually a rare variety with a significant minting error. Long story short, that ordinary penny turned out to be worth more than 10 times its face value. That's when I knew. Never underestimate the power of a penny, especially if it's got a little history behind it. Now, I bet you're thinking, how do I spot one of these valuable 2016 D mint mark pennies? Great question. The first thing you'll want to do is check the mint mark on the back of the coin. If it's a D, it's already a step in the right direction. But don't stop there. Inspect the coin for any signs of a minting error. If you notice anything unusual, like doubling of the numbers or the words on the coin, hold on to it. Those errors are what make it valuable. Also, condition matters. Coins in mint condition, meaning they look almost brand new, are worth a lot more than those that have been circulating in change for years. So if you find a 2016 D penny that's barely even got a scratch on it, you might just have a real gem on your hands. To wrap it all up, the 2016 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln Penny is far from ordinary. With a little knowledge and some careful inspection, you could be sitting on a potential goldmine of rare coins. So, the next time you're digging through that pile of loose change in your drawer or wallet, take a second look. You never know when you'll find the next $1 million penny hiding in plain sight. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more tips on coins worth money, strategies for spotting valuable finds, and all things coin collecting. Trust me, you won't want to miss out on the next big coin discovery. Thanks for watching, and remember, keep your eyes peeled, because the next coin you find could be worth more than you think. Have you ever found a coin sitting in your pocket change and thought, I wonder if this is worth anything? Well, today we're talking about one coin that might just have you rethinking your change jar, the 1972 Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark. Yes, you heard that right. A penny that could be worth millions. So grab your magnifying glass, because we're about to dive into why this tiny piece of copper might be the treasure you didn't know you were sitting on. Okay, let's break this down. The 1972 penny, at first glance, just another regular penny, right? Well, maybe not. See, most pennies minted in the United States have a mint mark that tells you where they were made. The D means they were minted in Denver. The S stands for San Francisco, and the good old P for Philadelphia. But in 1972, there were a small number of pennies that were missing that mint mark. No D, no S, just a plain, bare penny. And that, my friends, is what gets collectors' hearts racing. You're probably thinking, so what? It's just a missing letter. Well, this tiny error, or variety, makes the coin rare, and rare coins mean big money. A 1972 penny without a mint mark is one of those happy accidents that collectors salivate over. Why? Because there are only a few hundred of these mysterious mintless pennies out there. And when you have a coin that rare, the value skyrockets. Now, let's talk about the big bucks. A regular 1972 penny? It's worth about a cent. Shocker, right? But a 1972 penny with no mint mark? That's a different story. It can fetch anywhere from a few $100s for one in average condition to upwards of $1 million if it's in top-notch shape. I know. $1 million for a penny? Sounds like a scam. But trust me, it's real. Some of these no-mint mark pennies have been auctioned off for ridiculous prices, with a few going for over $1 million. But here's the kicker. Finding one of these elusive pennies isn't easy. They're rare, but they're out there. It's like finding a needle in a haystack. Only this needle could change your life. Let me share a quick story. A few years ago, I was at a family gathering, and my uncle, who collects coins as a hobby, was going through a box of old pennies he'd saved over the years. He was telling everyone how he had an old penny collection from the 70s, and I was half listening. You know how it goes. I was busy stuffing my face with chips. Anyway, suddenly, he yells, "Holy cow! Look at this one." Turns out, he had a 1972 penny with no mint mark. My jaw dropped. I thought, this thing could be worth a fortune. Well, it wasn't the rare one, but imagine if it was. That moment really opened my eyes to how much hidden treasure is out there, even in the tiniest of coins. So, how do you know if your 1972 penny is worth anything? You'll want to check for that missing mint mark first. If you don't see a D or an S under Abraham Lincoln's bust, then you might have yourself a gem. But don't just stop there. Condition is key. A coin in perfect condition, think shiny, no visible wear or scratches, is worth way more than one that's seen better days. If your penny looks like it's been through a battle, don't expect to retire on it, but it still might be worth something. And listen, if you're serious about finding valuable coins, you need to start paying attention to the small stuff. I'm not saying you should go through every penny you come across, but if you find one, don't just toss it aside. It could be worth more than you think. So, to wrap it all up, the 1972 no-mint mark penny is one of those rare finds that can turn your ordinary coin collection into a gold mine. If you happen to have one of these rare pennies sitting in your drawer or a jar somewhere, you could be holding on to a little piece of history that's worth a pretty penny. Pun intended. If you're like me and love the idea of finding hidden treasures, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I'll be sharing more tips on valuable coins, rare finds, and strategies to turn your hobby into something that could really pay off. Don't miss out. Who knows, your next penny might just be worth $1 million. Hey, coin collectors and curious treasure hunters. If you've got a penny sitting in your drawer from 1980, you might want to stop everything and grab it right now. No, seriously. I'm not kidding. You could be sitting on a small fortune. In fact, one specific 1980 penny, yes, that little copper coin you probably never think twice about, could be worth $1 million. Yep, you heard that right, $1 million. Stick with me for the next few minutes as we dive into the incredible world of the 1980 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny and what makes it such a hidden gem. So, let's set the stage. The year is 1980. Big hair, neon clothes, and the rise of the Rubik's Cube. But in the world of coin collecting, something interesting is going on behind the scenes. The U.S. Mint was busy making pennies, as they always do. However, some of these coins, when struck, didn't end up with the mint mark you would normally expect on the reverse. No D for Denver, no S for San Francisco. Just nothing. It's like the coin equivalent of someone showing up to a party without an invitation. Now, let me tell you a little secret. Coins with no mint mark from 1980 are extremely rare and valuable. In fact, they are one of the most sought-after pennies in the entire collecting world. But wait, before you get too excited, not every 1980 penny is worth $1 million, okay? If it doesn't have that blank spot where the mint mark should be, well, it's just a regular penny. So how do you find the rare ones? First off, take a look at the back. If you don't see a mint mark under the E pluribus unum phrase, that's your golden ticket. The reason these pennies are so valuable comes down to a few factors, like minting errors and the rarity of that specific year. Since these 1980 pennies were never supposed to be released without mint marks, any that made it into circulation are like little unicorns in the coin world. Let me tell you a personal story. A few years back, I was going through some old jars of change, just like any normal person who doesn't use cash much. I found a bunch of pennies, and as I was about to toss them back in the jar, I spotted something that caught my eye, a 1980 penny. I thought, hey, let me take a closer look. I wasn't expecting much, but then I noticed it. No mint mark. I almost dropped the penny out of surprise. Now, this wasn't the $1 million coin, but it was still worth way more than the face value. I took that penny to a local coin dealer, and while it wasn't worth $1 million, I did get a pretty sweet return. That experience opened my eyes to how important it is to check your change. You never know what treasures are hidden in those coins that are just sitting in your drawer or pocket. Now, if you think your 1980 penny might have the potential to be a rare no-mint mark coin, here's what to do next. In 1980, a mistake was made at the mint, which resulted in a few of these coins being released without mint marks. Since it's such a rare mistake, those coins are incredibly valuable. You might want to take that coin to a certified professional coin dealer or a grading service to get it authenticated. After all, just because you think it's rare doesn't mean it's worth $1 million until it's confirmed. The better the condition of your coin, the more it's worth. A coin that's been sitting in a jar for years may not be in mint condition, but it could still fetch a nice amount depending on how well it's been preserved. How much is this rare 1980 penny really worth? Well, the price can vary a lot, but in some cases, a perfectly preserved example has been sold for over $1 million at auction. Can you imagine finding that in your couch cushions or in a dusty old penny jar? You could walk away with enough to buy a house or at least a really nice vacation. But don't get too excited just yet. Not every 1980 penny is worth millions. The key is in the condition and rarity, and trust me, if you do have one, you'll know. These coins are so rare that they don't just slip through the cracks unnoticed. But hey, even if your 1980 penny isn't worth $1 million, it could still be worth hundreds or thousands, and that's nothing to sneeze at. All right, folks, now you know the scoop on the 1980 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny and why it might be sitting in your drawer right now, waiting for you to discover its value. Who knew that a little penny could be worth so much, right? So, if you've got a collection of pennies or old change, take a moment to check them out. You never know when you'll find the next big treasure. If you learned something today and want more tips on coin collecting and finding hidden gems in your pocket change, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give us a thumbs up. We've got plenty more tips, strategies, and hilarious stories about rare coins to share with you. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. We're talking about one penny that might just make you the richest person in the room. And no, it's not the penny you find under your couch cushions. It's the 1963 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Stick around, because this little coin could be worth millions, and trust me, you won't want to miss how to spot one. So, grab your magnifying glass and let's get into it. Scene transitions to a close-up of a 1963 penny under a magnifying glass. All right, let's get down to business. The 1963 penny. You probably have a bunch of them, maybe even in a jar somewhere collecting dust. Most of them are worth, well, a penny. But there's one thing that can set a 1963 penny apart from the rest, and it's something so small, you might miss it if you're not paying attention. That's right, I'm talking about the 1963 no-mint mark penny. Normally, pennies from that year are stamped with a little D or S to show where they were made, Denver or San Francisco. But this elusive 1963 penny has no mint mark at all. And let me tell you, this penny could be worth way more than its 1 cent value. How much more, you ask? We're talking millions of dollars, folks. Scene transitions to a close-up of the narrator's face. Now, I know what you're thinking. That sounds too good to be true. And hey, I thought the same thing when I first heard about it. But let me share a little story with you. A few years ago, I was doing what any normal person does on a Saturday afternoon, cleaning out my desk drawer and finding all the random stuff that's been collecting dust. I stumbled upon a jar of coins I had thrown in there over the years. I had a bunch of pennies, some nickels, maybe a few dimes, the usual stuff. But then I found a 1963 penny that didn't have a mint mark. I was like, well, this one's different, but probably not worth much. Cut to the narrator holding the penny and looking unsure. So, I tossed it back into the jar and forgot about it. Fast forward a year later. I'm watching a coin collector video on YouTube and bam, the 1963 no-mint mark penny was mentioned. I nearly choked on my coffee when I realized what I had missed. If I had done my research earlier, I could have been holding onto a fortune. Scene transitions to a graphic showing a comparison of a normal 1963 penny versus a 1963 no-mint mark penny. So, how does this penny become so valuable? Well, it's all about rarity. The 1963 no-mint mark penny is considered an error coin, and these types of mistakes are highly sought after by collectors. But there's a catch. Not every 1963 penny without a mint mark is a mistake. Some are just regular old pennies that somehow escaped the minting process without getting stamped. Cut to a graphic showing how to spot the difference. To make sure you have the real deal, look closely at the year on your penny. If it says 1963 and there's no mint mark under the date, you might just have something worth a lot of cash. But you also want to check the quality of the coin. A penny in mint condition is obviously worth more than one that's been through years of wear and tear. Cut to narrator inspecting coins with a magnifying glass. So, how much could this penny be worth? The value can range from a few $1,000s for one in decent condition to over $1 million for a well-preserved, error-free version. Yep, you heard that right. A single penny, worth millions. I mean, what other coin could turn you into a millionaire for just having the right one? Now, before you go digging through your couch cushions or emptying out every coin jar you've got, remember, the 1963 no mint mark penny is rare, and it's going to take some effort to find one. But if you do, well, let's just say you could be looking at a serious payday. I mean, who knew pennies could be so valuable, right? It's like finding a treasure in your own home. And let me tell you, if I could go back in time and find that penny earlier, I'd be rolling in the dough by now. Alright, if you enjoyed this little coin adventure and want more tips on how to find hidden gems in your pocket change, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, there's a lot more where that came from. I've got all kinds of tricks up my sleeve to help you find coins worth money that you never even knew existed. So, subscribe, like, and ring the bell for notifications so you never miss a video. We're diving into one of the most mind-blowing coin discoveries ever, the 1968 D-Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln Penny. That little copper disc in your pocket might just be worth more than your lunch money. Stay tuned, and you'll learn all about it. You're going through a jar of loose change, maybe some leftover pennies from that McDonald's run, a few stray coins from the couch cushions. Nothing unusual, right? Now, what if I told you one of those pennies could potentially be worth a fortune? Let me introduce you to the 1968 D. Abraham Lincoln Penny. This penny is famous for being, well, extraordinary. You see, most 1968 pennies aren't anything special. They were minted in huge quantities, and they're just regular copper. But if you've got one with the D mint mark, that's the mint mark for Denver, it could be hiding a secret that turns it into a treasure trove of cash. But it's just a penny. How could it possibly be worth millions? Well, I'll tell you. The 1968 D penny is considered rare due to some fascinating mistakes that happened in its production. Over the years, there have been reports of some of these pennies being struck with an error or two, making them incredibly rare and highly sought after by collectors. These minting errors can involve anything from doubling in the design to rare anomalies in the material used. Some of these pennies have sold for crazy amounts. Think thousands, even millions of dollars. The value of these pennies is based on something called condition. A well-preserved, error-free 1968 D penny can be worth upwards of $50,000. But if you've got one with a major error, like a double die or a misstrike, you're looking at serious money. We're talking up to $1 million for one of these bad boys. Yes, you heard that right, $1 million. Now, I'll be honest, not every 1968 D penny is going to make you a millionaire. It's a bit like finding a needle in a haystack. But if you happen to stumble upon one, that penny could be a game changer. Now, let's take a little trip down memory lane. I remember when I first started collecting coins. I was in high school, and I thought I was the king of the penny jar. One day, I found a 1943 steel penny in my change. My heart raced. I was thinking, I'm about to retire early. It turns out, it was just a regular, worn-out 1943 penny. My dream of becoming a coin mogul was dashed. But hey, that didn't stop me from continuing the hunt. And who knows, maybe one day, I'll come across a 1968 D penny and finally make that big score. But let's be real, even if I don't find that golden coin, the thrill of the chase keeps me going. Not all pennies are created equal. That 1968 D Abraham Lincoln penny might just be the jackpot you didn't know you had. If you find one with the right errors, you could be sitting on a gold mine. If you're diving into the world of coin collecting, pay attention to the details, check for mint marks, and don't be afraid to get a professional to take a look if you think you found something special. And hey, if you found this video helpful and maybe a little bit inspiring, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I've got plenty more tips on coins that could be worth more than their weight in gold, or copper in this case. Drop a comment below if you've ever found a coin that surprised you. I'd love to hear your stories. Keep hunting, and who knows? The next rare coin might be sitting in your pocket right now. We're diving into a coin that might just have you looking at your spare change in a whole new light, because this little piece of copper might be worth millions. Yep, you heard that right. The 1976 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln Penny. Stay tuned because this is one wild ride you won't want to miss. So, let's start at the beginning. We all know Abraham Lincoln's face. It's on the penny, right? But do you know that some pennies from 1976, specifically the ones with the D Mint mark, are worth a whole lot more than 1 cent? As in, they could be worth millions of dollars, and I'm not talking about the "I'm gonna sell this for 10 bucks on eBay" kind of million. We're talking serious collector's money. Now, before you run to your wallet to start sifting through your change, let me break it down. Most pennies from 1976 are pretty standard, and if you find one, don't expect to retire tomorrow. But there's this rare variety that was minted with a mistake, a die error that makes it incredibly valuable. Some of these coins have a slight doubling effect on the date or the Liberty engraving. Coin collectors call these double die varieties, and they can be worth a fortune. The 1976 D penny with this error is one of the rarest. Why? Well, it turns out that the mistake wasn't just one or two pennies. Thousands, maybe even more, were struck with this error, but most of them were eventually pulled from circulation. The ones that made it through, though, they've got some serious value. In fact, these pennies have been known to fetch anywhere from several $100s to even upwards of $1 million in some cases. How do I know if I've got one of these pennies? Great question. It's all about the details. The doubling is usually pretty noticeable, especially around the date or the word Liberty on the front. But don't just trust your eyes. Get your hands on a magnifying glass or a loupe. That's a fancy word for a coin magnifier, by the way. You'll want to look closely at the mint mark, the date, and the lettering to see if any doubling stands out. I remember when I first heard about coins like these. I was going through my old coin jar one day, just casually sifting through it, looking for nothing special. But then, I pulled out a 1976 penny that looked a little off. The date looked funny, and the lettering was weirdly bold. I wasn't sure if I had just been staring at pennies too long, or if I was onto something. So, I did what any coin enthusiast would do. I Googled it. And guess what? My 1976 D penny was one of those rare error coins. I freaked out, ran straight to a coin dealer to get it checked, and let me tell you, I almost had a heart attack when I heard how much it was worth. Unfortunately, it didn't fetch me $1 million, but it was still worth more than my lunch that day. So, what's the takeaway here? That humble penny in your pocket? It could actually be worth a lot more than you think. But finding one of these rare 1976 D Mint Mark error pennies requires a sharp eye and a little bit of luck. So, if you're out there checking your spare change, make sure you take a second look at those pennies. You never know, the next coin you pick up might just make you a fortune. And if you love discovering hidden treasures like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I've got a ton more coin tips, strategies, and hidden gems to share with you. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Hit that bell notification so you'll always be in the loop, and you'll never miss an opportunity to turn your pocket change into something worth a lot more. Have you ever been digging through your spare change and thought, I wonder if any of these coins are worth something big? Well, today we're diving into a coin that's so valuable, it might just make you rethink every penny you've ever thrown into the jar. I'm talking about the 1979 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln Penny, and guess what? It could be worth millions. Yes, you heard that right. Millions of dollars for a single penny. So, stick around to find out what makes this coin so special, why it's worth so much, and how you can turn your pocket change into a treasure chest. But first, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future tips and tricks to turn your coin collection into a gold mine. Alright, so let's break this down. We're all familiar with pennies, right? The little copper coins that seem to pop up everywhere, from the bottom of your purse to the back seat of your car. But believe it or not, some of these seemingly insignificant pennies have a secret life. they're worth way more than their face value. And the 1979 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln Penny is one of those sneaky coins. So, what makes the 1979 D penny so special? It all comes down to something called error coins. These are coins that were minted incorrectly, and when they're rare enough, they can be worth a lot of money. The 1979 D penny, for example, is known for having a unique wide AM error. The letters A and M in America on the reverse side of the coin were spaced farther apart than usual. This was a mistake during the minting process, and let me tell you, collectors are obsessed with these rare errors. Now, you might be thinking, okay, so some of these coins are worth a lot of money. But how do I know if I have one of these fancy 1979 D pennies? Well, here's the good news. You don't have to be a professional coin grader to spot the difference. It's actually pretty easy if you know what to look for. Take a good look at the back of the penny, specifically at the letters A and M in America. If you see that there's a noticeable gap between them, you've got a real treasure on your hands. The normal 1979 D pennies don't have this wide spacing. They're closer together. But the error coin has a gap, and that makes it worth a whole lot more. Now, how much are we talking about here? Well, it depends on the condition of the coin, but in some cases, these 1979 D wide AM pennies can sell for anywhere from a few $100s to, wait for it, over $1 million. That's right, folks. A single penny, worth millions. So, if you happen to find one in your change jar, or while you're hunting through rolls of pennies, you could be holding on to a real gold mine. Let me tell you a quick story. A couple of years ago, I was going through a box of old coins I inherited from my grandfather. It was just a bunch of random coins. Nothing special, or so I thought. I pulled out a few pennies to sort through them, and just for fun, I started looking up their values online. And guess what? I found a 1979 D penny in that box. My heart skipped a beat as I looked closely at the back. Sure enough, there it was, a wide AM error. I could barely believe my eyes. I had almost thrown it away thinking it was just another penny. Long story short, I ended up selling it for a small fortune. The moral of the story? You never know when you might stumble across a coin that could change your life. So, always check your change, and don't be afraid to dig through those old boxes of coins gathering dust. It could pay off big time. So, there you have it. The 1979 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln Penny is definitely one to keep an eye out for. If you spot that wide AM error, you might be holding onto a penny worth a whole lot more than its face value. And hey, even if you don't find one, you'll be a lot more knowledgeable about what makes these coins valuable in the first place. If you found this video helpful and want to learn more about coins that are worth money, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and join the coin hunting community. I'll be back with more tips, strategies, and maybe even more stories of coin discoveries that'll make your wallet a little heavier. We're talking about a coin that could be worth way more than you think. You're sipping your coffee, flipping through some old pennies, and you stumble upon a 2006 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln Penny. Now, I know what you're thinking. A penny? Worth millions? Nah, that's gotta be a joke. But trust me, stick around, because this little piece of copper could potentially be worth a fortune. And I'm not talking about pocket change either. So grab that magnifying glass, or maybe just squint really hard, because we're diving deep into the wild world of coin values. And this 2006 D penny is about to make you rethink everything you thought you knew about pocket change. Let's go. All right, first things first, why are we talking about a 2006 D penny of all things? It's not the oldest coin out there, and I'm sure you've seen hundreds of them without even thinking twice. But here's where things get interesting. The 2006 D penny is part of a series where, due to a small mistake at the mint, some of these coins were released with very unique characteristics. And when I say unique, I mean rare enough to make collectors pay top dollar. So what's the deal? The 2006 D penny is special because of a rare variety that was accidentally produced. You see, there were some 2006 D pennies that came with what's known as a double die error. Don't worry if that sounds like a complicated term. I'll break it down. Essentially, what happened is that when the mint was striking the coins, the die that was used to imprint the design on the penny wasn't aligned correctly. This resulted in a doubling effect, where the images, like Abraham Lincoln's face or the lettering, look a little blurry or doubled. This misalignment happens so rarely, and when it does, it makes these pennies incredibly valuable. Now, let me hit you with the million-dollar question. How much is this penny worth? I mean, you're probably wondering if you just made a fortune by finding one of these in your old jar, right? Well, depending on its condition, a 2060 penny with a double die error can be worth anywhere from a few $100s to over $1 million. Yes, you read that right, $1 million. Now, I know what you're thinking. Sure, that sounds cool. But where are these million-dollar pennies hiding? The truth is, these pennies are incredibly rare, but they do pop up every so often in auctions and private sales. Let me tell you, I have a friend who's absolutely obsessed with rare coins. We were hanging out one day, and he casually mentioned how he scored a few coins at a yard sale for like $10. I laughed, thinking he was just another coin nerd trying to sell me his dreams. But then, a few weeks later, he told me he'd flipped one of those coins, a 2006 double die penny, for over $5,000. My jaw dropped. I had to ask him for his yard sale secrets, but of course, he gave me that "you snooze, you lose" look. The point is, these kinds of rare coins can turn up in places you'd least expect, like in your spare change, or even a coin jar at the back of your closet. It's like winning the lottery, but with a lot less scratching and a lot more digging through loose change. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Not every 2006 penny you find is going to make you rich. You've got to look for certain signs, like the double die error I mentioned. If you're lucky enough to find one, the key to knowing its value is condition. The better the condition, the more valuable the coin is. Coins with sharp details and no signs of wear are the ones that get the big bucks. And if you're serious about checking your collection, a magnifying glass is your best friend. Trust me, it's worth the investment. I've personally wasted a lot of time squinting at coins trying to figure out if I had anything valuable. So go ahead, grab that magnifying glass, and start inspecting your pennies, nickels, dimes, and quarters. You might just discover a hidden treasure. All right, folks, now you've got the scoop on the 2060 penny and why it could be worth a small fortune. Who knew a simple penny could have such a big impact on your wallet, right? So, before you toss that pocket change into the jar or let it slip through your fingers, take a second to check for those rare coins. You never know, you might just stumble upon a coin worth millions. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of valuable coins and want more tips and tricks on how to find hidden gems in your own collection, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I'm bringing you all kinds of insider knowledge on coins worth money, strategies to find rare items, and stories that'll keep you entertained while you search through your own coin stash. What if I told you a penny, yes, a penny, could be worth $1 million? No, it's not a typo. And no, this isn't some crazy find a diamond in your soda kind of story. We're talking about a real coin, the 1993 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. You might have one sitting in your drawer right now, and you don't even know it. All right, before you go diving into your piggy bank, let's break it down. So, what's the deal with this 1993 penny? What makes it so special? To start with, most of us are used to seeing the mint mark on coins, right? You know, that little D for Denver or the S for San Francisco. But here's the twist. In 1993, a tiny batch of pennies was minted in Philadelphia without any mint mark at all. It's like the coin was trying to sneak by unnoticed. But guess what? That little oops makes it one of the most valuable pennies out there today. Camera switches to close-up of a typical 1993 penny, showing the lack of a mint mark. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but how much could this penny really be worth? Well, the short answer is a lot. We're talking potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars for one penny, and in some cases, millions. Sounds wild, right? But here's the thing. Because so few of these pennies were made, they're highly sought after by collectors. They're like the rare Pokemon card of the coin world, if you will. Cut to a graphic showing the rarity of the 1993 no mint mark penny with a chart. I can almost hear you saying, but I've got a jar full of pennies at home, and I'm pretty sure none of them are worth that much. I get it, I get it. I was once in your shoes. I had a jar of coins that I just assumed were basically worthless, until one day I decided to take a closer look. And let me tell you, I felt like Indiana Jones discovering treasure when I found a coin worth way more than I thought. Cut to a fun shot of the narrator rummaging through a jar of coins dramatically. Now, I'm not saying you're going to find $1 million penny in your collection, but you might be surprised. Some of these 1993 no-mint mark pennies have sold for up to $100,000. Yes, $100,000. That's enough to pay off some student loans, buy a nice car, or heck, even take a dream vacation to, well, anywhere but a coin shop. So, what determines the value of these pennies? It all comes down to their condition. A penny in pristine condition could easily fetch six figures, while a more worn-out penny might still bring in a few thousand. But hey, even a couple thousand for a tiny piece of copper? That's a win in my book. Cut to a shot of a good condition penny versus a mint condition penny side by side. You might be wondering, how do I know if mine's worth something? Well, first off, it's all about checking that mint mark, or rather, the lack of it. If you've got a 1993 penny with no mint mark, that's your first clue. But don't stop there. Get yourself a magnifying glass, because sometimes the condition can be tricky to spot with the naked eye. And if you're still unsure, don't be afraid to consult a professional coin appraiser, especially if you think you've got something truly special. Cut to a short skit where the narrator pretends to take the penny to an appraiser. All right, folks, before you start packing up your pennies and running to the nearest auction house, remember, not every 1993 penny is going to make you a millionaire. But if you do find one, you'll want to make sure it's stored in a safe place. These rare coins have seen some wild bidding wars, and who knows? Maybe yours is the next big find. Camera zooms out with a stack of coins, and upbeat music plays. Now, if you want more tips on how to spot valuable coins, or if you're just curious about the weird and wacky world of coin collecting, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. Who knows, the next time you check your change, you might just find a hidden gem worth a lot more than you think. And hey, if you find $1 million penny, don't forget who told you about it.